just philo-Semitism and not disguised anti-Semitism like I thought you said. Why are we suspicious?
Yeah, I don't actually. I'm not exactly sure, but I know that like the philo-Semitism of like evangelical dispensationalist Christianity is highly anti-Semitic, right? Because if they only love the Jews because we are part of their end times theology. That's a philo-Semitism that's anti-Semitic. How would you be a philo-Semite without, I don't know, you be an ally to Jews. You listen to Jews. You kind of if you wanted to make yourself adjacent to the community, you have to like be guided by that community. You can't insert yourself on your own. It's the insertion of yourself on your own because you just feel this way that I think is like, comes from this supremacy, supersessionist, Western Christian idea that we can do whatever we want with Jewish tradition because Jesus.
Okay, I just remember in an interfaith class I had to take, they made all the people write down, like on a paper, what was the purpose of taking an interfaith class, and they eventually counted the results up, and they said it always comes down to the same two things. All the Jewish people write that interfaith is important for preventing another Holocaust, and all the Christian people write because they want to know more about their Jewish roots. And this is something that this guy has had this class for like, I don't know, over a decade. And I met these people in this interfaith class, and it seemed like they genuinely really wanted to know the way that their Lord and Savior spoke and what he ate and how he dressed and what he was thinking and
right.
What kind of jokes.
So they can replace us.
Okay.
No, wait a minute. Wait.
Let them have their dream. Who even said?
Wait, Caleb. How do we know that? You know that there's a difference between an observation and an interpretation. You agree with me?
So here's how I know it. Here's how I think I know it. And you might think this is anecdotal, but here's how I think I know.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Because they start wearing tzitzit. Because they start doing Passover Seder. Michael. Because they start doing Passover Seders. Because they start observing Shabbat on Saturday. Because they start building sukkahs. The irony of this, right, is that Jesus is sort of at the very outsets of the rabbinic project, right? And the irony here is that these people are observing Judaism from later interpretations of Judaism because they think that Jesus looked like Chabad, right? And this is a major. Okay. This is a violence that is done to Jewish tradition.
There is no way that naive, polite Christians believe that Chabad is what Jesus looked like. They have their.
No, I'm being hyperbolic, but you understand what I mean. They think if we look at modern Jews, hold on. They think that if we understand the Jewish practice of Jesus, right, we will be better Christians.
They think they'll understand their book better, and they will.
All right, listen, I don't.
No. Hold on.
All right.
Hold up. Just in 10 seconds. The entire project of Christianity for like 1900 years was to de-Judaize itself, to not be Jewish, to deliberately show that we're not Jewish. And all of a sudden now, Christians want to be more Jewish? Give me a break. That's supersessionism.
Okay.
Hey, real quick, can I add something, please?
Yeah.
So this is what I noticed on this like that. So basically, a lot of people that are Christians, it's like that when they read their Bible, because basically there's more information than it was. The last century, whatever, because YouTube and all kinds of stuff. So now basically, an isolated people, which was the Jews, it's like they say in their own community, they got YouTube videos and all kinds of stuff, so people can learn about the sukkahs and all kinds of stuff. So people starting to learn about these laws, and not only that, they're hearing about the beauty of what Judaism has to offer and stuff like that. People are wanting to grab onto it, but they're grabbing onto it, but they don't want to let go of Jesus. But however,
correct.
When they read, like a lot of people read their Bible, they run past Jeremiah 10, whatever, Christians, they celebrate Christmas, and Christmas is a pagan holiday. So a lot of people are looking at it as if Jeremiah is telling you no, and Christians are celebrating this. That's why you'll hear like a lot of Hebrew Israelites and everybody talking about, oh, Christianity is pagan, and they're denouncing Christianity. That's why they pick up the brand Israel. They're like, we're Israelites. We're not Christians because basically Christians.
That's why me personally, I've always.
Let me land. So they're saying Christianity is pagan, and they want to turn towards Judaism. I mean, it's like that. So basically, so like here in my case, right?
I want to get back to.
I run past.
Can I just add something?
Sorry, cut you off.
If I could just.
I run past Jeremiah 16. I'm gonna here real quick. So when I ran past Jeremiah 16, whatever, right? Okay. You hear about the fishers, whatever, right? It says basically after that God goes to the hunters, and the Gentiles are going to turn around and say obviously inherited lives. Now I am one of the people. Not me sitting there like doing my studies. Turn around and say, obviously my parents inherited lies. It's like that, whatever. And literally you turn back towards the Jews. And now me personally, I'm working on my conversion to Orthodox Judaism because basically I see that there's truth. There's a lot of truth.
You want to follow the law, the letter of the law.
They're possible. No, it's not just following the law. It's just that I'm watching them with the Torah prosper in places where they shouldn't prosper at. Like hey, how are you doing your Torah? It's not in Israel, but you're doing your Torah in America. You're doing your Torah in UK. But your guys are blossoming as a people, and that makes you, and that draws people towards it because you really was walking through darkness.
That is the design of a blessing, yes.
But I just want to conclude with something I started here with Caleb. Yes, Tzadik Bisdom. Are there any Christians that are not telling the truth here? That just some of them really just want to know more about their origins.
Well, don't you remember?
Some do.
Wait.
Someone was saved from Sodom. You're forgetting Logan.
Wait. Caleb, you're doing a very good Mixed impersonation. Love and respect.
Yeah, Mixed, can you let Caleb answer, please?
Yes, I think some do, but the ones that do it honestly for me are the ones that continue to be Christian. The Jewish law and the Jewish practices are for Jews. Christianity long ago gave them up. I think there's a difference between understanding the life and times of Jesus. That's in the Messianic time, Eitan. That's not now. In now time, even though non-Jews could come to the temple, right, and offer sacrifices, it was not Beit L'chola Amim. Sorry, that's a Messianic vision.
Right, that is for the Messianic time. But Rabbi, it strikes me that you're concerned about the confusion Christians may have in studying Judaism and coming instead into Orthodoxy. I think that you are well suited to write a book, What Type of Jew Was Jesus? And, teach some college courses, explain to the Christians who are interested in the proper, historical context of Jesus and the Essenes and the Pharisees and the Sadducees, right? Meaning, what I'm trying to explain is, yes, the interest has always been there within their religion of this political era, of this particular showdown with Rome. This is a part of global history. And some people are religiously devoted to some of the political movements of that era.
Jesus
and they want to understand what they are in conversation with because it got stuck in.
I get it. I get it. I don't think you're wrong from a historical perspective, but I think you're missing one important thing, which is over time and I could be wrong. I'm happy to be disproven here, but it seems to me that the attention to what was it like then, especially in the Middle Ages and pre-modernity, was about knowing the Jewish tradition better than the Jews and being better Jews than the Jews because the new Israel is the church.
Right. See, that's what I'm saying. You have to weave through the propaganda and realize that within that is interest in the people in Judaism and then a reaction from the singular fascistic controller of their regions.
That's right. And I think what sort of my response to Eitan is that becomes baked into Western Christianity, right? And especially Western Protestant Christianity.
So this is a danger.
And I'm saying let the Christians be free and let them study their Jewish history.
Yeah.
Properly.
Okay. Well, if they, go to...
And I'm saying, go write the book. Make sure that they do it properly. There's a lot.
I'm sure that book is already written.
Okay,
Intro to Judaism.
Go find that book and go sell that book.
Actually, I'll tell you one of the very good books about that is called The Annotated New Testament for Jews or something like that.
I've heard
And it's written. It's very good. It's very good. It's a Christian Bible with Jewish annotation, right? Here's where this quote comes from in the Hebrew Bible. Here's what it probably really meant in context. Here's how Paul or Jesus is changing the context to make it mean something new. It's very good.
Go through it chapter by chapter on Clubhouse. Teach everyone the book.
Okay, that's interesting. That's an interesting thought.
Meaning, me personally, I'm not that concerned. I see the identity of Jesus and the particular correct conclusions of those political ages, mostly vaporous arguments among scholars that can be reframed as generations go. I'm more interested in everyone being interested in the UNESCO global importance of the world site that is Jewish history of that era. In terms of Rome, the showdown, the Jewish people, that their history is still preserved, right? It's restored.
Yeah, I'm into that. I'm totally into that.
I just don't care that much what they conclude about Jesus. Sure, that could be the little flame that pulls their interest. But in the end, I'm interested in the site.
No, I agree. I'm interested in that too. And I'm interested in the comparative religion type things. I'm interested in that. What I'm not interested in is Christian satyrs.
I don't know if they want to get the swing at it. Let them try.
I'm not interested in that, and I think that is a suppressionist
argument. We don't want foreign temples. We don't want foreign worship. But the people always went to their hillsides.
But if their God and Savior, whatever you want to call him, had a Seder, isn't that inadvertently or directly their tradition too, in a way? Can't they claim it?
Sort of, except they replaced it. The early church replaced it, and they said we don't need to have Passover anymore. Jesus is the Passover. Read the book of Hebrews.
Because they're responding to the people's interest.
But in some
I
ways,
understand, but Eitan, Passover Seder is not about Jesus. You agree, right?
But it doesn't have to be about Jesus.
But they make it about Jesus.
So whatever, they make everything about Jesus.
Yes, when they do Christian Passover Seders use the classic Jewish symbolism, but they say not that this is the Passover sacrifice that was sacrificed in the temple.
Dude,
this is the blood. This is Nick said. This is right. Again, if it doesn't hurt anybody, and it doesn't right. But what they want to do is they want to convert Jews, and they want to say, look, you can still be Jewish and believe in Jesus because look, we're still doing Passover, we're still doing Sukkot, we're still reading the Torah, and I find that to be exceptionally dangerous, and we should push back against missionaries.
I don't care about the weak Jews. Let them go wander off into Christianity again.
They're not attacking weak Jews, but that's the point, Nick said. They're infiltrating Haredi communities.
The easiest move would be to circumvent Chabad, is to just have an Orthodox movement that shadowed them.
Fine.
I think Jewish education has to be a little more aggressive and
agree,
and a little bit more depth. I don't know what's going on.
I think they should travel the world more like Chabad.
I'm specifically
annoyed.
Like, what is it? Palestine sets up like those franchises everywhere, right? They could go global. Why not?
But people, come on. We can't have Hanukkah be about latkes and donuts. We can't have Shavuot be about dairy products.
It's not about the holidays. It's about the memory.
Oh, but
that's right. Christians don't have that memory.
But we're not being good representatives. We're not emphasizing the depth of Judaism. We're emphasizing these commercial kind of rituals, and I think we need to go back to a little more depth here.
Yes, but that's for us. Yes, but Eitan, the reason we do it is because it's for us. We don't do it do it for them.
I'm agreeing with you, but I'm saying there's one part where you prevent them from doing a Seder, but there's another part where you promote what we do. You know what I'm saying?
That's right. I'm happy to invite non-Jews to a Jewish Seder.
No,
That's not what he's saying, and I'm with you, Eitan, completely. I'm sorry to interrupt. We are talking about an ill-equipped Jewish population. It's not just about going to synagogues. It's about taking part in the religion with knowledge, understanding, part of who you are, and there's a huge gap. People are saying they are Jewish, but they have no understanding of what are our books, why do we use them, where, you ask a Jew, there are plenty of polls that have been done over the past 20 years. What do you know about Judaism? There are 10 commandments. No idea that there are 613 commandments. I mean, and these are not, and I'm giving to you, the nursery school statement to adults. And the Jewish people around the world are not having their own understanding of the breadth of Judaism. And therefore, it is putting them in a very difficult position, especially when anti-Semitism shows up. We have a significant amount of secular Jews who will stand up and say, well, we don't want that, because the threat there is their own humanity and where they feel they're at. But this idea that what is Judaism? What is the breadth of it? Where do we get the wisdom? How is that part of who we are and how we proceed in the world? And I believe in pluralism, but you have to know what that pluralism is. And we are losing the fight. We're losing the fight.
I understand. Built into what you're saying, though, there's two separate issues. There's Jewish education on the one hand, and there's Christian missionaries and people who want to steal our tradition on the other hand. We will be better equipped to make sure and to combat those people if we know our tradition better. If we are confident, right? And we will not lose people.
That's what I'm saying.
We're not losing people. We're not. One second. But let's not confuse the issue. Those people want to convert us. Those people want to replace Judaism. They do. And built into what you said is that assumption.
But also the assumption is that the Jews themselves are not taking hold of their religious beliefs. The synagogues are closed. It's not even just that. We have. I mean, I'm sitting in the middle of it.
Me too, Grace. I understand, but that's a step that we do not need to attack Jewish education in order to answer the converts. The reason. No. Stop interrupting. Please stop interrupting.
You're talking to me like that? Thank you so much.
I'm raising my voice because I'm trying to get over the interruption.
I'd like to speak eventually.
I'm trying to make a point. Okay? The reason we should double down on Jewish education and do that better is for the betterment of Jews, not for the ability to combat missionaries.
Listen, you said a few minutes ago that Christians will distort the Seder. And my concern was, before we worry about what they're doing, let's see how we're distorting our own culture too, our own Seders and our own holidays, by emphasizing these trivial things that we do. And it's going to come down to some Jewish guy walking in an airport where there's a Jews for Jesus, and all he knows from his parents is that we eat dairy products and eat things with oil, and he's going to hear about all kinds of death.
Global impact in Jews.
What?
You guys are just terrified of everyone with their cockamamie half thoughts about Judaism. What difference does it make? It's a book. It's published. It's out there.
We have to start at home. We have to know our own, like Grace mentioned earlier, and I wish she was back up on the stage because she was basically, on the point there. And it's, yes, we have to, it's kind of like sports. You have to have a good defense, but you have to have good offense. You have to, you know what I'm getting at, Caleb?
Yeah, I understand. I think it's complicated, right? I think there's lots of different things here. I think we're conflating these two things about making sure Jews have positive, rich Jewish experiences so that they can stay Jews, which of course will produce effects that they will be less susceptible to people who want to steal our tradition and to make them Christians. That's of course true, but that's not the reason we do it. The reason we do it is to build up Jews and to make Jews. That's why we do it.
Okay, but first we have to have that tradition for them to be able to steal it. And like I said, I get really upset when people ask about cheesecake and that kind of stuff, when they should be talking about significance of what the holiday's about. You know what I mean? I think you'd agree with me on that.
Again, I think we're talking past each other. I think we're talking two separate issues because we got into this.
I think a stronger Judaism begins from the classroom, and I think a Jewish child. What? You agree with that, right?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. But we were talking about missionaries and people trying to steal Judaism.
But
and
that's what I'm saying.
The Judaizing of Christianity.
But that's what will defend us from, if we have a very strong identity of our own, then the child knows how much they have distorted whatever it is they have distorted. But if he doesn't know his own tradition, then he's not going to know, okay? We're filling the work for them. We're completing the work for them.
I think I agree with you. I said as much, right? All I'm saying is that the goal of keeping people Jewish and giving them tools to live meaningful Jewish lives is not for the purpose. Yes, it is to stem assimilation, right? But I think assimilation is a bigger thing is a bigger issue than people trying to convert Jews to Christianity. Nevertheless, the supremacist and suppressionist Christian idea that we can be better Jews than Jews, I think, is a dangerous idea. We should notice it, and we should push back on those people for stealing our traditions.
Yeah, that's part of the. No doubt that's part of what we have to deal with as Jews. Okay.
No, I just think you're crazy. I think you're misunderstanding that Jewish identity is part of their cultural history, right? If they went to a church or knew a priest or hung out in a Catholic town, right? They're part of Jewish history. And that means that anyone nearby is curious and can follow that rabbit trail all the way down to Jerusalem. Which is why, the Knights Templar and hospital were created because people were so interested in going to Israel. And the infrastructure was not up to par, very clearly. Right, meaning, Caleb, I feel like you'd feel best if you were a tour guide, especially for Christians in Israel, going like, okay, don't think this, don't think that, think this. You'd be all set.
I love Jews.
Yeah,
I do too. They're very crunchy.
Crunchy. What the hell? I just want to say.
Not to mention the pincers.
I just want to say I love Jews. I love Jews. I will protect Jews. This is my job. I love all people. And I love Jews. Because, there's people saying different things.
What do you like about it? Why would you like
love Jewish? I just think, such a rich history. They're such a consequential culture, so pivotal in.
I mean, only if your life has been touched by either Christianity or Islam.
Right, but regardless, I think, I don't need to believe in star signs for someone to treat me like a Gemini sometimes, So I think regardless of whether
Wait. Okay, I'd like to clarify, Big Said. What did you say? Only if you've been tested by. What was that?
His concern is it was an interesting and relevant people, and I said, yeah, it's interesting and relevant if your life has been touched by Christianity or Islam. That's the majority of the planet, and that means quite simply they are all touched by Israel and the story of the Jews and King David and King Solomon and the two temples and the war with Rome. All of them are participating. If they were touched by that, then yes, Israel is relevant and historically interesting. But the Asians, why the hell would Japan care, right?
No, but then I pushed back and I said, well, I don't need to believe in star signs for someone to treat me like a Gemini. So there is consequence. There's modern consequence to the tale of the Jews. So it's pivotal regardless, if you believe it or not.
It can be interesting as such. It doesn't have to be interesting because it's relevant to the Far East. I mean, for a person from the Far East, like I said, I mean, people are interested in ancient Greek philosophy and mythology, and they're not Greeks. I mean, you understand that, Mixed? I mean, it's an interesting story as
Yes.
such.
Well,
I'm saying it's because their lives have been touched by the Greeks that had an empire, by the Romans that had an empire, by the Muslims that had an empire, by the Chinese that had an empire. Their interest follows the central historical narrative of how far back they can understand their origins.
But you're saying they can only be interested in this Jewish saga, this story.
No, I'm not saying they're only interested in that. I'm just saying you can't touch the world the way Christianity and Islam have done and not harbor an eternal interest in Jerusalem.
All right, I can give you that. That sounds reasonable. I mean, that's going back to the roots thing we were talking about.
I'm just saying practically, like they raise children, right? They have temples. They have visitors. They have infrastructure. They have donations. They have TV shows, right? Meaning, how could it be that you could have Islam and Christianity in the world and not be focused on Jerusalem and its history?
Well, if you want to hear a pretty nasty, blunt rendition on this, have you heard of Christopher Hitchens?
Yes, I do know Christopher Hitchens, not personally.
And he said, did other two monotheistic religions plagiarize from Judaism, and then just punish Judaism afterwards for taking their monotheism from them in their long history. I thought it was interesting that he would say that.
That somebody stole their monotheism?
That we got punished by Christianity and Islam for the reasons because they plagiarized our religion. I mean, we did them the favor of giving them monotheism and it shot back at us. Now they're angry at us that we're not the right kind of monotheists for them. You know what I'm saying?
Well, listen, within the essence of Judaism is a fair amount of disdain for foreign ideologies. It's not the most free speech framework. And it's wiping out from its own conception the idolatrous false beliefs of the locals or previous Jews, right? And they reckon with it. They even fall prey to other idolatries that pop up in interest, from Lebanon.
I just think once again Jews should really know more about their Judaism, specifically if they're going to get on Clubhouse and argue with people about religion or politics or whatnot.
Jews and their Judaism, right?
Really, how many do you think can tell you what a Sadducee is?
They might. I bet you, if you ask a yeshivish kid what a tzedukah is, he'll tell you.
We're obviously not talking about yeshiva people.
And he might know about the Karaites. I don't know if he'll know about the Karaites.
No, we're not talking about yeshiva people. We're talking about people.
No, I'm saying if you wanted to explain what a tzedukah was, you would point to the Karaite community.
All right. Yeah,
right?
That. What I'm saying is, Jews love to get out of that.
If I was talking to a child and I just wanted to point to a thing and say, this is like that, I would point to the Karaites and say, that's what a tzedukah is. Do you know what the Gemara gives as the explanation for the Tzadok and Baisos cults? They're foreign schools. Yeah. Yeah, do you know that story?
Say that again.
The story of Tzadok and Baisos.
Oh, Tzadok. Okay. Oh, tell me.
No, okay, so they made the Tzedukim and the Baisusim. That's why they got all lumped into being Sadducees in English. But Tzadok and Baisos, they left Judaism. They were students in some rabbi's class. And they wanted to make a renegade cult. So they said, it won't work if we just aggrandize ourselves, just be charismatic leaders. So they just copied the law code and then just negated all the rabbinic stuff, right? They said, we're the only rabbis, right? Just do whatever we say. We've got the 5 books. And then it became the occultic, alternative interpretation of the Torah. They watched the whole thing peter out. That was from like the Perushi's perspective. And they saw, they had their criticism of the guys that started it, Tzedek and Bisos.
That is absolutely a Perushi perspective, and everyone
right.
knows,
And also, but think about it this way: think about it from a historical perspective. If the Perushim really are just like the scholarly rabbis studying in their special yeshiva in Yavna that gets to survive the destruction, if they're just doing that, and there's like different alternative Levitic movements of Tzedek and Bisos, they would have a story of whoever taught the kids that started it, right? The teachers would have a story.
Yeah, they would.
Right? And if they said Tzedek and Bisos were like this in school, and like it's not that surprising that like they knew all the law, but they wrote it differently, and they just took the 5 books. And yeah, if you look at the carrots, you'll see the same thing of them just trying. Like, listen, they're doing honest scholarly work, trying to interpret the 5 books, plus the Nevi'im, right? They don't make a delineation. They view all of nothing. And also that's to try and backdoor some Jesus stuff. Everyone wants to get those later prophets in.
Yeah.
But listen, the Jewish solution has been simple a long time ago. We closed our library. That was an era. We can have new prophetic writings if the state gets developed enough. We'll continue to string everyone along until
baby, George, Ethan, how are you, bro?
Oh, yeah.
How are you guys? Where are you from, baby? Hello, bro.
You don't have very good social cues. You came off, interrupted people that were talking, bro. Honestly, man.
Okay, bro. Okay.
Yeah, thank you. What's going on here? Alpha, come on. You look at the guy in the chat. I want to bring everybody's attention to Israel. You lost. You lost, bastards. Fuck your mama, BB. Fuck up, BB. Your mouth stick like shit. If we lost, why are you crying? That means you won. Why are you upset? Sickos.
Well, that depends on what he won, right, BB?
That's right. That's right. It does. The prize that he won. I was enjoying Mixed and Ethan, and then this guy keeps coming up, interrupting out of nowhere. That was good.
He sounded like he was dragging the microphone in mud.
Yeah, it's a little kid dragging his toy. Yeah, how are you?
Be careful, people. It's raining anti-Semites in here now.
I know. Wow. You gotta ask yourself, why are they so angry?
You know what's funny, BB? It was raining for about a month in Australia, and somebody asked me, how's the weather out there? I said, it's raining anti-Semites. She couldn't believe.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. Exactly. Did that guy, Joe, was he a troll or was he genuine?
no clue.
Yeah.
Did you hear that, BB? Nobody has problem with Jews. It's only the Zionists.
Yeah, no, they love the Jews. They hate the Zionists. I know. Tell me you're an anti-Semite without telling me you're an anti-Semite.
Look, Meme, I don't have a problem with Arabized Hindus. I just have a problem with Pakis.
Well, that's precise.
He left. Oh my goodness. That hurt. Oh, no way. He didn't leave. He changed his picture. Tell me, Meme, are you going to liberate occupied West India and East India? Well, maybe not East India, but definitely West India. When are you going?
60 days.
Yeah, he has a 60-day limit.
They don't have an army?
I'm sure they do. It wouldn't be
about Venezuela.
comparable.
CEO, this is talking about Venezuela and you're talking about Chicago.
I'm talking about what?
Barbershop.
You're talking about Chicago, right?
No, I'm talking about overseas.
Oh, you're talking about Venezuela.
Yeah, the War Power Resolution of 1973 allows the president to send troops overseas for up to 60 days without congressional approval.
And he's trying to assassinate the president? Is that what I heard?
Oh, then that's a SEALs operation. That's different. What are you talking about? Are you talking about a war or a special operation?
I don't know. Didn't you say there's a bounty on somebody's head? Did you read that, El, or somebody who ever read that? Isn't there a bounty on somebody's? Oh no, that was Parnas who said it. Okay, I don't know. I'm confused. Does that mean putting troops on the ground, you guys? I'm serious. I have no idea what that looks like.
I just re-listened to it, and it seems to me, well, I just re-listened to the way he put it, and what he said was there was a 50 million bounty on Maduro's head, and that he's trying to get the people of Venezuela to do an uprising against him. So I don't know what that means in terms of what he's doing, but that's his goal apparently there. I don't know, Ben, you're on the stage, you would know more about what's going on in Venezuela.
Oh, no. That doesn't mean I know. No, I heard about the bounty thing. And look, this is another of his distractions. So he doesn't have to be causing this. And we're not under attack. There's no, it's crazy talk. But yeah, he'll do it. He pretty much has gotten away with everything that he does, whether it's right or wrong, whether it's legal or not.
Well, the least vile of the three scenarios would be to rename the Department of Defense the Department of War, since it really is the Department of War at this point, in my opinion. At least that doesn't involve killing people.
The Department of War when there's no war. This is weird as hell.
Isn't it? You're right.
Yeah. I'm coming from a draft dodger. This is unreal. This is upside down.
We'll see in 2.5 hours. Stay tuned. I want to try to find out what time. I know I'm obsessed with this, but I'm very fixated on the presentation tomorrow on the Capitol steps by the victims of Epstein. I want to find out what time that's going to happen tomorrow, because that's going to be widely televised. And I really want to hear what they get to say. I'm just happy that they're going to have a voice.
They're not going to say what Gasoline said, that's for sure.
Exactly.
That's why I said you know what, I'm telling you, you have to be a moron to get up there and say what she said, knowing that all these victims are still alive. Then they all going to counter what you said, which is, be different. It was just like one person, is my word against yours. But all these people, these women are still alive, and they're going to come and tell the truth, and you just fucking lied again. You're going to be known as the ultimate fucking liar. I'd be like, look, Trump was there. I didn't see nothing, but his motherfucking ass was there. Because she probably wasn't in the room when this shit was happening, but I'm not going, no. Not gonna lie. Not gonna lie on these women again.
Well, meanwhile, now that Congress is in session today, the first item to deal with is whether or not there's going to be a government shutdown on September 30th. That's the number one item to deal with.
I hope they catch Gasoline. I hope she fucks up the Trump somehow.
Wolverine took out Deadpool and dropped down from a great height.
The wall came crashing down. Luckily, I used my staff to save them from the danger. Well, they're holding a hearing with them today. So, and then tomorrow we'll see them on the Capitol steps. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. Creating a barrier around my mind. This means that as long as my powers are active, no one can spy on them.
It's going to be interesting to see how Dems move, period, from this moment on, because they've been accused of either doing nothing or very lackluster. I mean, everywhere, everything. So I just want to know, is the game plan going to change? It's like, what can they do? They can do a lot, but let's see how it goes. If they plan on winning the midterms, they really have to be a little bit more. I don't know what I need to be quiet because I'm not a what do we need to do, CEO? It's always the Republicans that can tell us what we need to do.
He a Republican?
Well, while we're waiting for CEO, let me ask this question. Can he just decide that there's not going to be any mail-in voting? Because that's going to affect the midterms if he's able to get that accomplished. I mean, how did they get to there? I mean, that can really hurt us. Does anybody know?
I have no idea. Can he do an executive order?
No. It's in the Constitution that each state is responsible for all voting. So there would have to be a constitutional amendment, or it would have to get up to the Supreme Court to interpret it. So he can't it'll be immediately challenged. And under any normal circumstances, there's no way it would be acceptable, except this is not normal circumstances. His Supreme Court is going to give him whatever he wants. Mm-hmm. But it is illegal. I mean, each state is responsible for how they do it. I think Oregon and Colorado have had just exclusively mail-in voting for for the last 2 or 3 elections. So that would be a huge change. And it's a grab. It's more rigging the election, which is what he's trying to do.
Ben, do you think that SCOTUS is going to overturn what they accomplished today on the LA being called illegal?
Yeah, it seems what they do is they don't usually completely overturn it and make a definitive ruling. What they'll do is they'll keep it sort of vague and allow it to continue. And yeah, I think that whatever it is that he's requesting, no matter how unconstitutional, they will make some wishy-washy ruling that will in effect give him what he wants, but actually would have to be adjudicated later on. So we can't count on the Supreme Court to be a guardrail. It's not.
You know, Ben, I was thinking the same thing. That ruling, the way I read it this morning, it doesn't do anything to protect people in LA. Nothing. All it did was give him license to keep going because it gave him an out.
Yeah, exactly.
And
they never actually do the whole thing. They just make it vague enough that he gets away with it.
Right. Just so you guys know what's going on here in LA, as you know, I'm boots on the ground. There's something going on in Westwood at the VA because they constructed a big white tent yesterday with a bunch of Sprinter vans, which is their MO. And they stacked the parking lot with those yesterday. So that's common knowledge. We all saw that. That they're staging for something. We don't know what. We have an idea. And now my boots on the ground are saying that they're going into Westwood, Little Tokyo, Chinatown. And then in the midst of all of this, a naked man decides to have a car chase on Sepulveda and Wilshire. So all that is, I'm like, okay, how many more distractions can you throw at them? So That's what's happening in LA this morning during rush hour traffic.
Why would they go into Westwood? I don't
Because
see.
Well, that's
I'll
where the
tell you-
federal